Welcome to ZOOMERTIMES TV. And here's your host, Anita Finley.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anita Finley, and I'm your host of Zoomer Times TV. It comes out of the Boomer Times magazine. And today we have an author, special author. She's very sensitive. She's been on before. And of course, you recognize her name. It's Paulee, Paulee Bowin, Bowin. And Paulee writes books that they're really children's books in a way, but I think that they really apply to adults also. And this particular one that she wrote, called "Love Me for Who I Am," definitely, we reviewed it in our August issue. It was the book of the month, and I found it to be a perfect explanation why there are people who have been adopted or fostered, and they don't realize that cats feel the same way as they do. But Paulee did this as a cat story. So tell us about this, Paulee. What made you do this?
Well, I was talking to a radio personality. I was on a show. It was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And he said, we should write a book together about, self-esteem and that kind of thing. And it made me start thinking about the point of view of my cat that I had. And so he kind of inspired me to get the creative juices flowing. So then I decided to start this book. And so then I wrote it, and then I tabled it for a while, and then I got back to it and finished it up and published it.
And it really was very heartwarming. So even though it was about a cat, we never think that our animals have that feeling, although we should know better, especially now with all the fostered cats and what happened during COVID. And I know that my dog, I got him 2 years ago. He's now 10, so he certainly was somewhere else, and that's why I guess he hangs on to me. He waits for me when I leave. He's in the room right now. If I leave, he goes to my room, and that's probably all that you've been talking about, isn't it?
Yes.
He doesn't want to be left.
No, they animals I feel like the same way we do about that. They have anxiety when you leave because they don't know if you're coming back. They have faith you're coming back once they learn your routine. And animals do understand your routine. And then when you break it, then that's a little bit traumatic for them.
Terribly traumatic. I have a saying when I go get my keys. Well, if I grab my purse, he knows he thinks he's going with me. And I just say, "Come on, Jack." But if not, I'll say, "I'll be back, Jack. Just wait, I'll be back." And he sits right there. I have like a little table right at the door, and he's waiting there for me till I get back.
Aww.
And I'm sure your cat, is the same way. Now, cats are a little different, I guess, because they will stay away in a sense, but they know where you are, don't they?
Yes, they're brats sometimes. She greeted me sometimes, but other times she would hide. You know how they are. You can call them and they just stay hidden, and it's to the point you're like, well, do I even own a cat? Where'd she go? Right? She pack up and leave me.
Right.
So, but yeah, cats are a little different. The dogs are always waiting for you.
Right.
I've had plenty of dogs, and I love that about them. They're always happy to see you.
Right. Well, of course, Jack, my dog, sometimes he goes somewhere and I don't know where he is. I go in the closet, I can't find him. He's just found a really perfect place, and I call him, and then I eventually find him. But it's like, I never open the door. He can't be out. He's here somewhere. But yeah.
That's cat behavior right there.
Yeah, I know that's cat behavior. Well, I just want to show what the cover of the book looks like. Here it is. It's "Love Me for Who I Am," written and illustrated by Paulee Bowin. I want to talk about the illustrations. Paulee is extraordinary because not only is she a very sensitive writer, but she's a great illustrator. And is this all in, when you illustrate to be able to then get this done, are you doing this in chalk? Are you doing it in paint? What kind of paint, color? Tell us about that.
It's a combination, and that particular page is the title page. So there's another cover I'm using that I designed. It's the cat on the beach. But anyway, so I do typically gel pens or Sharpies is how I do it. And then I incorporate some acrylic paint and every now and then some chalk. So I use multiple textures. And then I scan it in the computer and then sometimes add a few things on the computer graphically. Yeah.
So you, and we've interviewed Paulee before, and if you've seen it, you'll know that she actually was a ballet dancer. So she's very talented in many ways, but this is something that I'm sure keeps you very busy, because when you're writing, your mind's on something. And now, so after you've written, is that then after you have it all written up, you then start doing your illustrations?
Usually, there's been a couple books. I just started drawing what was in my mind and then made it fit into the story. Like I wrote a story around the illustrations a few times, but this particular one, I did write it first and then I did the illustrations.
Yeah, and I'm sure. And so, of course, your cat is the heroine. It's a little girl cat, I know.
Yeah.
Right. And is it Mickey, or how do you pronounce her name? Mickey.
Mickey is the girl, and I named her after my mom's nickname. So she was called Mickey a lot of the time. So.
Right. And it starts out, it's very cute because this little cat was left and she didn't know what was going to happen. And when this girl came along, named Vikki, she thought, well, is she going to keep me? And, and I'm so worried. And then is she going to send me away? And is she going to leave herself? And I mean, it was really very heartwarming. I felt so sorry for your cat.
Thank you. I had promised that cat that I would never leave her, that I'd never abandoned her. And yeah, I think on some level she understood.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this is my, let's see, my third or fourth dog. And I usually get them from people who either they can't keep them, or this one I got from a rescue. And you really never know. Now he must not have been treated badly because he's so sweet. He's not afraid of anything. Sometimes an elder person, has to give up their pet, which is a horrible thing, but it just depends. Now, I'm sure you've seen some dogs who are vicious, and I'm sure they've had a very hard life, and that's why they're scared. But yeah, cats. Go ahead.
Cats are skittish sometimes after people have been mean, for sure. And dogs, I feel like, are typically good-natured unless somebody's been horrible to them or they're trained to be mean, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a shame because, that's just not right. They're not meant to be mean and nasty creatures. And I feel like, with the dogs I've had, I don't have to train them to be attack dogs because the loyalty of that dog will speak for itself, and that dog will protect me without me training it to be a killer, And I mean, I had a dog defend me, so I know specifically how that works.
No, you're absolutely right. They will defend people. And now you're reading stories about, I just read something. In fact, I was going to feature them. There are dogs now that are becoming lifeguards.
I can see that.
Yeah, and I think we'll do a story in the September issue that they're being trained. There's now actually a school for dogs to teach them how to be lifeguards. Now, they go out with, the way I understand this, they go out with a person who is a trained person, but if they're going out to rescue someone, sometimes one person isn't enough. So the dog goes with something on his back, so that, I just think it's fabulous, isn't it?
Well, there's no lifeguard school for cats.
They don't want to be in the water, though.
That's right.
We can't put them in the water. Although, do you ever wash your cat? Some cats will go in the water.
Some, but she didn't like it. But she went to the beach, but she just didn't want to get in the water.
Right. I have a friend, just thinking about that, when he takes a bath, It's a man. The cat wants to sit on him, on his chest, on his stomach while he's in the
Aw.
bathtub.
That's cute.
That is cute. I mean, I thought, oh, it gets wet. I don't know. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. But let's go back to something that the whole story is that I thought reflects on people who are, human beings who are left. Sometimes you can imagine someone's parent dies from a disease and they're young. They don't understand that. Why isn't mommy or daddy coming back? Or they are taken away. I mean, think about the immigration and what's happening with kids who are coming here, and they're taking the children away from the parents. I mean, it's really very disheartening to see that. I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
No, there's a lot of bad situations. There's a lot of people that have children that, it's not fair that they have children and others don't because they don't treat them well,
True.
And then there's people that would be great parents but can't adopt even for some reason, or can't have the children. So it's a mixed up world, very mixed up.
It is. And people, as they grow up, they are influenced by what their childhood was like. So if they came as a foster child and they were treated well, they went to one foster home, I have to assume, and that was it. But you read about people who, Paulee, who've been in 5 and 6 foster homes. I mean, I don't even know how that works. Do you?
I don't know too much about it other than, apparently when somebody's put in a foster home, if it doesn't work out personality wise or something, then they move them. I don't know. I know there's probably a lot of anger from children that are in foster care, and rightfully so. They don't know how to process the fact that they don't have parents the way everybody else does. So they're angry with everybody. And so it takes a certain type of parent to work through that with them. It's a lot of patience to work through that. I can imagine being angry about that, if I was in foster care, because my parents left me or my parents died, or I would be sad and angry and scared all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. But you made that very clear in your book. You used the cat, but the cat kept questioning, is Mickey coming back? Does she like me? Would she rather have a dog? I mean, I thought those were very, very good questions. And I know that this is a good book for children, but I think any adult would enjoy the book also.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I hope so. I hope people appreciate the value of learning to not try to be something they're not. Like it's okay. Like in the book, it's okay if you're not a dog, you're still valuable. But it's okay if you're not a rock star or something, you're still a valuable human being. And we need to not think that we have to always overachieve for people to love us. I think that's a problem,
It's a good point that we are who we are and love us because we're a human being, and just and we do have good things in us. And I just want to tell everybody, you are listening to this wonderful author who's named Paulee Bowin, and the book is called Love Me for Who I Am, and it was inspired by Brian Cash Claus, and we talked about him a little bit. Did we talk about him now or when we were talking before we started the show?
I think it was at the very beginning of the show. We talked about him both. I'd been on his show and he wanted to do something, I don't know, do something good to help people's self-esteem. And that got me thinking, and that's why I wrote the book. So I wanted to make sure that he got credit. I'm not sure if I would have gotten around to writing this book had he not given me that little creative jolt that day.
Yeah, that always happens, doesn't it? Someone says something and it's like a little tweet bird. Oh, okay. I should think about doing that. But yeah, that was good. But the difference is I interview a lot of authors, but it's rare that I have an author who does his or her own illustrations. Usually they have an illustrator, if they even have an illustrator. But you and your other book also was the same The girl that sang backwards, is that the name? Was that the exact name? What was it?
The girl who sings the alphabet backwards.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, right. And that was the same kind of a thing. I mean, she was very interesting. She was very cute. So you have these very different ideas for books. It's not common. When you were a little girl, what kind of books did you read or were read to you?
Oh gosh. Well, I had this amazing fairy tale book, and I had also the original Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. So that was hugely inspiring. Then I moved on. I loved to read so much. I was always reading. I was in first grade reading like fourth grade books. So I loved really good mysteries, loved it, loved solving the mystery. And, you know, Nancy Drew, even, I read a lot of that and some stuff that was, you know, even more intense involved. But, and I love the classics, you know, Count of Monte Cristo, how fabulous, all the plot twists and the irony, and Tale of Two Cities, To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't care what anybody says, that's one of the best books ever. And I love that one.
Was it an influence from your parents? Did they help you learn to read early? How did that all happen?
They helped me read early. I just had a knack, I guess. And so I just would read and read and read. I loved it. And then, so I was in a readathon in first grade to help fight muscular dystrophy.
A readathon.
Yeah, my mom put me in that. And what's funny, this is, and I referenced this in one of my other books, It Is About You, but you had to go around and get pledges from people and tell them how many books you're going to read in that 4-week period. I think it was 4 weeks. And so I said I was going to read 100 books in that period of time. And, you know, it was doable, right? I thought it was completely doable, which it was. So I went around and my mom made me go up to people myself. She would not solicit people for me. She made me like get over my shyness and do it. So I was walking up to people and going, I'm going to read 100 books. Would you play? You know, I was real shy. So this one person, oh my gosh, he laughed at me when I said I was going to read 100 books. You never laugh at me. I will prove you wrong. And so my mom stopped me at 110 books in that amount of time because he was dumb enough to pledge $1 a book. And we're talking the 70s. Yeah, he didn't believe me. So he was, you know, kind of a jerk about it. He goes, well, I'm going to pledge $1 a book. Okay. So even at age 5, 6, I was a little firecracker. I thought, you know, you laughed at me.
Yes, you were.
No way. I was shy about it, but yet I thought, you're not going to tell me I can't do that, right? So.
Oh, that's a wonderful story, Paulee. You have to write a book about that sometime. Don't tell me I can't, right?
That's right. And, you know, the funny thing is I ended up like getting a grand prize for raising so much money for muscular dystrophy for that particular readathon. And so that was exciting.
It was
a good cause. Yeah.
Oh, how old were you?
I was in first grade. So I think I had just turned 6.
5,
that spring, 5, 6.
Like yeah. Oh my heavens. Now that's a great story. I knew if I talked to you long enough, I'd hear some unusual things because Paulee was a ballet dancer and when did you give that up, Paulee?
Oh, I gave that up in my early 20s. Started at age 10, but it was my whole life, you know, as a teenager, the performing. It was, you know, it's still one of my favorite things ever. Yeah, it's just ingrained in me. It's who I am.
Yes. And it probably taught you discipline because you have to be disciplined to be a ballet dancer, I'm sure.
I loved that discipline because well, my parents were strict, but for me, staying very structured is good. I don't know how to explain it, but somehow I thrived on that discipline in the ballet class and I loved it so much. And proper form is necessary in anything, you know, related to that. And I wanted to do it right. And I don't know, it did my soul good. I had great instructors.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm not going to go into ballet, but I was wondering about your feet, and didn't and your feet really suffered if you were a toe dancer, right?
I was, and so the funny thing about that title page of the book that you held up is
Mm-hmm.
there was one year I was getting ready to get my point shoes. I was new getting the point shoes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So what I did, there was an upcoming performance and I was somebody's understudy and it was a role on point actually. And so I had to break in my shoes because it turned out I was going to take her place for the show. And I had
Oh.
very little time to get ready. So I wore those shoes around the house. I broke them in. I did dishes on my point shoes. I painted wearing my point shoes. And I did anything I could like walk around and do. I did it on the point shoes with the point shoes on until I got used to it, broken in, and it was a great performance. But that's like indicative of me doing, you know, everything with those on. And I've been so comfortable being on point that for me, high heels was natural. So I've worn high heels, you know, since high school, and to where I don't feel right if I wear anything less than a 3-inch heel.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great story, Paulie. You know, I could talk to you all day, and you're always going to have something that's interesting like this. Wow. Yeah. So, and it did turn out you did a good performance.
I did. It wasn't a huge role, but I was so thankful to be part of that. And I love the classical music. I just loved the show. And I was actually, it was a rendition of Madame Butterfly. So we had an
Ah,
opera singer sing the aria at the beginning. And I was one of the little handmaids because I was only 12. And
oh,
so I was like Madame Butterfly's little handmaid. So I came out with the bun and, you know, the whole thing.
oh, that's such a beautiful memory for you. Wow. Well, I don't know your parents, but I have to salute them because you do, you know, when you're someone like you are, you have to thank the parents. They had to have an influence on you.
Thank you.
Uh,
I'm
where,
thankful they adopted me. So that was
yes, you talked about that at the very beginning, that they did adopt you. Little did they know the
good.
best thing they ever could have done, really.
Thank you.
Where did you grow up?
Kansas, Topeka, Kansas is where I grew up.
Huh, interesting. So I don't know anyone from Topeka, Kansas, but now I do. That's great.
It's the capital city. I was actually born in a small town in the middle of Kansas, smack dab in the middle. But I don't even think there's a stoplight there. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, so that's interesting. When you meet people, you never know about them, do you? And that's like, and it's the same thing with a cat. You never know about the cat. Of course, you this story isn't your story. You didn't take this cat on. Didn't you have a cat as a kitten, or was this your story?
This was my story. Yep.
Oh, it was your story. So you're the Mickey.
I'm the Mickey.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that's even more interesting. Did you have a cat before?
No, I always had dogs growing
Dogs,
up.
that's what it said. You always had dogs, and here you wind up with a cat because you wind up in this place, this house, right?
Yep.
Happened to come along with a cat.
Yeah. But you know, you don't abandon animals. I mean,
Yeah.
I had also actually rescued a couple of cats that were just randomly stray when I lived in Kansas and found them homes, but I never owned one. You know, I always just helped them get to the right place.
Right.
But this one, she had lived there before we did. And so, yeah, she was special.
Yeah, so she knew that was her home. She just didn't know who was going to be feeding her and taking care of her.
Right.
But she found you and she says, "Oh, please don't ever leave me," right?
That's right. And you know, it was kind of a rough transition for me having just moved from Kansas. So I think that I needed her as much as she needed me.
Yeah.
That was good.
It seems like that's always the way with animals when you do get them. Let me just add that my son and his wife live in a home in Miami, and they have a dog, and they do have one special cat that's, I'm allergic to cats, so they got a cat that's hyperallergenic, and yet they had cats in the back, feral cats in their backyard, and kept having babies. So they went and they got them all. All the females were, fixed. And now, even though they're outside, they've become pets. They come to the door, they're fed. And so I guess they found a home too, even though they're outside.
That's awesome.
So feral cats are interesting, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially I worry about the rain and the hurricanes, and I don't know, where do they go when all the bad weather's around and they're outside?
I'm not sure. They hide somewhere,
They
but
do.
they need homes.
Right. Well, it's been wonderful. I love talking to you. You're
Thank you.
always such a pleasure, and I love this book. It has such heartfelt, and I know people will as they read it. And I know someone wanted to buy it. They told me this, so I'm very pleased that you've done this with us. You're a shining star, and you just keep doing that. Now I know we all know a lot more about you. Paulee Bowin. Thank you, Paulee. Make sure you buy it. It's Love Me For I Am. It's a wonderful story. You can get it on Amazon. And thank you for being with us, Paulee.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Bye. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again.